What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mack. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the star-studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. The final score reflects a lot better than Sunday went. Dallas, their comeback falls just short, 28-25 at home against the Baltimore Ravens. At one point, this was a 28-6 game. Entering the fourth quarter, it looked like the Cowboys were making a comeback. It looked like the Cowboys were on a roll. The offense started going. Dak Prescott putting the team on his back, getting touchdowns to Kevontae Turpin, getting touchdowns to Jalen Tolbert. And, of course, not an onside kick. And also, the Baltimore Ravens completing a third down pass and then having Lamar keep an option play to extend the drive gave Baltimore an escape. But this was a brutal 3 quarters to watch. The fourth quarter was super exciting, Dad. But at the end of the day, Dallas is 1-2, and 2 of those losses coming at home.
Yeah, it's unusual to feel the loss at home over the recent few years. Yeah, they lost. They're 1-2. They're 1 game behind the Eagles and their division. Is it an insurmountable obstacle? No, by no stretch of the imagination. Now, the first three and a half quarters was ugly. Make no bones about it, it was ugly. It had shades of last week. Although the defense didn't let the onslaught and the bleeding continue, thank you. And the offense just couldn't catch a break or get it in gear. Seemed like we was driving. What would the difference have made if, we're down and we're driving, we get called for a holding penalty, which was questionable, by the way, on my boy Guyton. And then next thing you know, we're trying to, very next play, 10-yard slant to CD. I've always been a proponent of the slant to CD. And a defensive player makes a great play, knocks the ball loose. The Ravens recover instead of us at least getting 3, potentially 7 out of that drive. Could have been a different game. Could have, should have, would have. And a lot of people are giving flack about Jerry.
He's talking about me on Out of Pocket yesterday.
Yeah, Jerry coming up and saying we couldn't afford
Derrick Henry.
And yeah, Derrick Henry had a great game, guys. There's no disputing that fact. But I will agree with Jerry. We can't afford Derrick Henry. And that's perfectly fine. I'm okay. We gave Jerry grief about paying Tony Pollard and Zeke all that money. Running back is a thing of the past. We don't need to be investing that money. That's what everybody kept saying when we were investing it. So why should he go out and spend something on Derrick Henry? Yeah. Would it made a difference in the game? Yeah, we would have had him on our side versus facing. That's one win. But that's money that can be attributed elsewhere. Would I rather have CeeDee Lamb locked up and Dak Prescott locked up? Yes. And there again, you can't keep paying top dollar at every position. Running back's one of those positions where you make the sacrifice. If I was going to pay top dollar, I wouldn't have Derrick Henry. I'd have Saquon Barkley.
To be fair, that also keeps Saquon out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, so that would be the more beneficial one for Dallas. It would have took him away from the Giants, kept him out of Philadelphia. That one I could have been on board for. Again, so I'm not faulting Jerry for that. A lot of people in the media are sitting here and they're criticizing CeeDee Lamb for his antics on the sideline. That he checked out. Son, you're 26 years old and, got a nice car, but you spent a lot of money on it here lately.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
And repairs.
I'm hurting about the game here.
And repairs, right?
Yeah.
But it's sitting out here and it's not drivable right now. And how does that make you feel?
I need help if anyone's listening.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It's very frustrating.
You invest all that money into something and you still don't, it's not working for you right now.
Do you have a point?
I do have a point. You've been my son for 26 years and you've ridden with your dad on multiple trips and something doesn't go according to plan. And you see that frustration build up on me. And that's usually when you and your brother and your mom and your sister kind of just hunch down and buckle up and you take in kind of, everybody goes quiet. You let me vent. You let me get my frustration out. These guys are frustrated. They've invested the summer. They've invested training camp. They've invested practice after practice. This is their livelihood, folks. This is how they put food on the table for their family. And they're frustrated because what they're doing isn't working. Now, you could say that it's scheme, especially the defense. Is it scheme? Well, then you hear Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence come out and say, two of the trusted leaders of the defense, two guys that if they say something, you can almost bank it as gospel because Micah wears everything on his sleeve.
Yeah, he does.
And he's pretty open about everything. And he says everybody's wanting to make a play. And that's often what happens. Everybody starts trying to press. When something isn't going right and you feel the momentum shifting, you're wanting to be that hero.
Which was Kalen Carson on that catch by Nelson Aguilar.
And if you watch that game, after that play, and I dissed on Nelson Aguilar.
You did, didn't you?
The other day. So from now on in our predictions going forward, I will only praise the other team. I'm sorry. I will still keep my 1 point victory, but I will praise the other players. I'm not getting in depth on that. I do believe in jinx. And it seems like I did that with Derek Carr. I did that with Nelson Aguilar, and they both come back to bite me. And you look at that, but if you watch the game closely, after that play, he was making tackles left and right. He was making tackles.
He wasn't missing a tackle.
He was hitting them, and they were going down. I mean, and Dallas missed a lot of tackles yesterday. And again, it's a lot of guys pressing, overthinking, not necessarily trusting the system because they're wanting to make that play. They're wanting to stop this onslaught. They've had six quarters of just getting a crap beat out of them, to put it nicely, and nothing going right. And that can get frustrating, and it can make you, and in the heat of the moment, they don't have time to sit back and reflect and go, what happened? Because how do they get past it? The offense come on strong in the fourth quarter.
Which was a good point. Like, this team didn't give up.
They played with heart, and when a lot of the commentary was their manhood, that they're not tough, that they can't deal with adversity, not leadership. That shows that when things started going wrong, they didn't give up, and they fought and they fought and they fought. And there's no doubt in my mind, we get that ball back in the fourth quarter for one last drive. We tied that game at minimum. Because my boy's kicking 65-yard field goals, 66, 67, 70-yard field goals. It don't matter. Mr. Aubrey's putting it through the uprights to tie the game. I have full confidence in him.
Got a franchise record, by the way, in longest field goal in Cowboys history at 65. That's 1 yard short of his preseason record, 1 yard short of Justin Tucker's official record, which Justin Tucker missed.
One yard short of the one that he tied there in Cleveland too, by the way, but didn't get it to count because of
whatever.
Yeah, but there again, he also set an NFL record for the most over 50-yard kicks in his career.
Yeah, like 13 or 14 or 14.
It was.
It's good. It's
well,
good.
I mean, how many has he had this year so far? I mean, so
he's had quite a bit.
So I mean, he had 10 last year. over 50 yards. And so, I mean, he's had at least 3 or 4. I know 4. So, I mean,
he's 5 for 5.
So he's at 15 in his career, over 50, without a miss. Do not want to jinx him.
By the way, yeah. We'll quit talking about.
We're just amazed that Mr. Aubrey is as consistent as he is, and that is a blessing because it will pay dividends going down the road for this team. Am I worried about where we stand? No, because again, we're 1-2. They showed heart at the end. If this would have not come up to be 28-25, and a lot of people are dissing it, well, you still lost. Yeah, we did, but we made a comeback surge that just fell a little bit short. That happens. If it would have ended 28-6,
I would have felt
that would have been a lot worse. Or if it would have kept building, where we scored on offense, but we couldn't stop them on defense. You realize that they came out and they scored on their opening drive in the second half. They didn't score another point,
which is good. It's honestly about time at that point.
Yeah, because, I mean, and there again, they had it was like we couldn't stop them. I mean, they were having a game, and there again, Baltimore was 0-2.
Their backs were against the wall.
Their backs were against the wall. There was no way that they could afford to go 0-3 in that division. When you got Pittsburgh sitting there at 3-0,
by the way, records aren't the same. By the way, I would take Baltimore in a heartbeat over Pittsburgh
at this point. Yes. Now, I do love Justin Fields, and I've been a big Justin Fields fan ever since he was at Ohio State. But I hope the kid does well in Pittsburgh. I think he deserves it. I mean, he's a good kid, but unless he's playing Dallas, by the way,
which he will after this Giants game. That's happening on Thursday, by the way. We'll announce a little later when what we're doing for Dad and the boys moving forward, because this week we have a Thursday game, so it's messing with our schedule a little bit.
But I mean, so am I discouraged? Am I discouraged about the game? Well, I'm frustrated, just like the players are. How do we fix this? How will we right the ship? Hopefully this week we can get back on task. But it's if you do or you don't. I mean, everybody say if we go out and we win the next game, well, we beat the Giants. We can't determine who we play, but we can only do what we can do when we play them. So, guys, it doesn't matter if we're playing the Giants, the Commanders, the Eagles, the Steelers, the Bengals, whoever, the 49ers coming up. We just got to go out and execute, trust the plan, and hopefully walk away off the field victors. Another question that I've got for you is this. We're struggling right now. Would you rather be struggling now or in December?
Neither. That's the easiest question.
Neither, but you want to start seeing that progress build throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a tough stretch. I mean, we had a tough 2 games there. I mean, yeah, the Eagles beat New Orleans barely, but New Orleans has been playing lights out. That wasn't the same New Orleans team that we played.
Which is unfortunate. That's usually how it happens, is Dallas will lose to a team and then Philly will barely escape them.
Yeah. So, I mean, the division's still in focus. It's in hand. I mean, if we can right the ship, get it going. And I do believe in this coaching staff. I believe in the talent that we have. And I think we will right the ship.
And I hope so too. We are going to take a quick commercial break. If you're listening to us on Fans First Sports Network, if you're watching us on Boom Broadcasting, and when we come back, I'm going to ask my dad 2 key questions that I have that I'm very curious about after watching this Cowboys-Ravens game. Right back on Dad and the Boys. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. Michael and Mack. Son, Dad. Dad and the boys. So, I have two questions for you. And so, when we're talking about the run game and we're talking about what Dallas needed to do, I saw a few clips, particularly in the second half, is when I noticed this the most, where we actually limited what Derrick Henry could do. And we had three linebackers, whether that was Overshown, Kendricks, Clark, Leafau, a combination of the three. We seem to do pretty good against the run game, which sounds like a lie after, looking at this game. But again, it was a little bit better in the second half because, Baltimore wasn't just running down our throats. This is kind of a two-part, which linebacker do you have the most confidence in moving forward? And do you like running the three linebacker spot as opposed to sending an extra guy in the secondary out there?
Well, I mean, if they're playing in a base offense and we're not forced into the nickel defense, I do like the idea of having three linebackers out there and four defensive linemen. Kind of a loaded question there, but you know who I'm going to pick as my linebacker?
Who?
The line.
I mean, whoa. Let me pause on that one. Michael Parsons counts as a defensive end with this question.
But here's the problem. If you keep putting him at defensive end, it's easier for the offense to game plan around him.
Thank you.
So I mean, yeah, he needs to be at the defensive end, and he needs to be a lot you need to switch it up. As far as the linebacker that I trust in this defense, I mean, I'm going to go with Kendricks because of the experience in Zimmer's system. But Leafau had some really good plays, and so did Overshown. I mean, yeah. And here's another thing that you got to look at with the Cowboys right now. They're trusting a lot of rookies in this game, and they're having to. I mean, again, when you're paying $60 million man and at the top of the market, top three wide receiver, and you've got Mr. Parsons coming up, you're going to have to trust in more rookies. Last year's class is struggling a little bit, lagging a little bit behind. Hopefully, Mozzie will come on.
Please.
Schoonmaker is actually starting to show strides in the tight end room. And, so you're going to have to start trusting in those younger players like Guyton, like
Cooper Beebe. Marshawn Nealon
and Leafau.
Kalen Carson.
But you also have to realize that these guys are young. They're rookies. They're going to make rookie mistakes. And can you overcome that with the talent around them? And there again, as they're overcoming those mistakes, as they're making those mistakes, then you've got to have guys not pressing, and again, like Micah said in his interview, do your job. Do your assignment. We don't need hero ball. Trust the system. Go out and do your job and trust that he can give you the system and the game plan to limit those. And I think as we see guys develop and become more familiar with that system, because this is a learning process. I mean, not only are we dealing with new players, but we're dealing with a new system.
Yeah. Which also, to be fair, hasn't been used in its full strength because Dallas gets behind.
Well, and true. I mean, that, and if you're playing against your strength, because our strength is our pass defense and rushing the passer. But if they're not having to really pass because they can run, again, this is 3 games in to a defensive starters that really didn't get to test that defense except in training camp.
Yeah.
So I mean, We haven't seen Micah Parsons be Micah Parsons in this defensive scheme yet. To be honest, we haven't seen DeMarcus Lawrence be DeMarcus Lawrence in this scheme yet. We haven't seen Trayvon Diggs in this scheme yet. And Lord knows we haven't seen Deron Bland yet.
Just period. He's recovering from injury.
So, I mean, and Osi, Odighizuwa.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking, like, last year I was like, it was almost like clockwork. You'd at least see 1-2 plays a game where you're like, O'Diggy. I haven't said O'Diggy once.
He had a good play yesterday. I mean, I remember seeing it once. But again, you're going to see as they become more comfortable in this system, the better they're going to play. And again, when Zimmer came into the fold, everybody talked about how intense his system is. So it is going to take time to get comfortable. I mean, they've been adjusting from Dan Quinn's system to this one, and I think it'll benefit them. But we're going to start seeing strides made on that defense. I have no questions about it, especially as DeRon Bland comes back on board and we get healthy. Jordan Phillips gets a little bit of health issues resolved behind him. Mozzie gets a little bit more game time. He had a couple good plays like yesterday that he flashed on the screen some. We're going to start to see it. It's just going to take time, and it's a learning curve. It's a learning process.
And I hope they learn it sooner than later so we can stop having days like Sunday. So that was my one question about the linebacker. My second question is actually about special teams. Kevontae Turpin returned a kick week 1, and the last couple of weeks it's not been Kevontae Turpin. As much as I love Wanye Thomas, Wanye is the only person getting these returns. Why?
That's the other special teams coordinator. If you've got a choice between kicking to Wanye and Kevontae, which one are you kicking to?
Why are you even putting Wanye back there, though?
You've got to have two guys. Who else you gonna put?
Ooh. Dude, I would still run Kevontae under that ball and see what we can have.
I mean, you could put Kevontae at the center of the field, the end zone, and then let him go side to side and have Wanye in that zone, but you've got to have two returners back there.
That's what I would prefer.
I'm looking for Slim, Coach Bones, to take in do a reverse.
Okay.
And at some point do a reverse and having when Wanye catches it, him throw it across the field in a lateral to Kevontae, or him to take and do a reverse and hand it to him. Because you get the special teams going one way, and then all of a sudden they're having to go the other way.
With Turpin's speed.
Which,
congrats on a receiving touchdown the late fourth quarter.
But there again, and I love Turpin, but he has the same problem as Deuce Vaughn does. They got speed, but when they get hit, they're down.
That is fair.
They're not going forward beyond that. They're not traveling past the hit.
Which is what you get with smaller guys.
It is. So, but which one do you – that speed's electric, and it can be devastating. And, again, I don't know why Wanye's back there. I don't know why it's not Deuce and Turpin, or even Dowdle and Turpin, because in a couple years back, if you remember, Dowdle had some good returns.
Yeah, and maybe Dowdle more than Deuce just because he could block if Turpin got the ball in his hands. But give me more Turpin. I want Turpin.
I do too, but unfortunately the special teams coordinator, if they've got a choice and they can make that choice, they're kicking away from Turpin at this time.
Well, hopefully, Bones can figure out a way to get the ball in Turpin's hands, whether that is putting him at the center field position or, doing a reverse. But we'll look forward to more of that. An update on Dad and the Boys. If you noticed, we have a Thursday night football game. We don't have many of those this year, but we do have one. So instead of dropping Dad and the Boys on Friday at 3 p.m., we're going to drop Dad and the Boys at 3 p.m. on Thursday on Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And we'll look into our weekend schedule and see when we could do a potential post game. Hopefully not waiting all the way to Tuesday trying to figure out all the different things about that.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be in a lot more jovial mood come Friday or Saturday if we have an additional episode this week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be happier. But right now, Cowboys 1-2 after losing 28-25 to the Baltimore Ravens. But guys, this has been Michael Davis. This has been Mack Davis. You'll be seeing a lot more of us either on Boom Broadcasting or Fans First Sports Network. But guys, you may now return to your regularly scheduled lives. Thank you guys so much for listening to us, for watching us, and through the Star Studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. Be sure to go to Fanatics Apparel to get your Dallas Cowboys gear so we can rep well. Kind of like this right here. But guys, this hasn't been our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.